Lars von Trier's Antichrist was like seeing a nightmare on the screen. It turned out to be a very regretful experience. In this video, I will be taking a deep dive into Antichrist, a movie that is well known for its graphic nature. I'm not really going to focus on those elements. Rather, I will slowly be taking apart each scene and what I found interesting about it. And I will also be lending my complaints regarding the movie. Mainly, why I think seeing this movie was a waste of time. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the video. The prologue starts with cinematic slow motion shots. These scenes blend serenity and mystery really well, which helps encapsulate your attention. With a smooth pacing and soothing opera music in the background, our attention is brought to the elephant in the room. Yes, we are being shown two people making love. So this is how Lars von Trier chooses to start his movie. I won't lie, I already kind of understand why this movie is not liked universally. But you know what, let's see where it goes from here. What we are shown is quite baffling, because it starts to get rougher and rougher, and you wish for it to end. But it does not, and keeps on going for quite a while, until there's a baby. Now, the first idea that comes to mind when you see the baby leaving the cradle is that, Lars von Trier, you sick old man, don't you dare show the baby walk in on his parents. But as it turns out, this is what happens. The baby is so confused that he jumps out of a window. What the f? Nah, I'm just kidding, the baby was just stupid. But he does plummet to his death. What a weird way of opening up a movie. But then again, Lars von Trier is a weird man. And then of course, we are shown the parents crying at the funeral. It is your fault. Why are you guys crying? The prologue ends here. And this is the point where you wonder, should you continue watching this absolutely horrendous piece of garbage? Well, the answer is no. But of course, I didn't know that. So we move onwards to chapter 1, titled Grief. Now, as this chapter began, I started wondering, is this movie going to have a prolific plot twist like the one seen in Old Boy or Incendies? As a matter of fact, this movie did have a plot twist, but it wasn't as prolific as I thought it was going to be. So I would say that you're better off watching another movie if you are specifically looking for movies like those. The mother of the baby is hospitalized. Her husband comes to meet her very often, and I definitely know what he's missing. As it turns out, he is a psychiatrist. He starts to diagnose her symptoms and comes up with his own interpretation of what's happening to her. But what he's really doing is annoying the heck out of her and me. She throws away her antidepressant medicine on his insistence. This leads her to go into absolute bananas mode. In her suffering, she starts to do self-harm. Her husband thought it was just anxiety, but he really gets a mental revamp when she bites his nipple. He realizes that her staying at home really isn't cutting it. So, in order to face her fears, he takes her on a train. A train to paradise. No, actually, it is the Garden of Eden. This movie has a lot of philosophical undertones, which Lars von Trier loves putting inside his movies. When our characters reach the woods, we get this really boring scene of these guys walking around. The only really interesting part about this was his wife acting really strangely, like she is definitely hiding something. Her husband loses track of her, and he finds himself upon a very weird sight. He sees a deer. And the interesting part about this deer is that a baby fetus is hanging out from its ass. Now look, I'm all for grotesque imagery in movies if it serves a purpose. Now what purpose could this possibly serve? It just makes absolutely no sense. Now I know you could argue that it is too early to come to any conclusions, and you might be right, because this scene does serve a purpose. From what I gather, it's supposed to show you how the mother was aggrieved and careless of her baby from the very beginning. It is actually a good way to symbolize this fact. But well, I think this scene is more there for the shock value rather than for audiences to read into. Because let's face it, who's gonna be dumb enough to look into a movie like this? Oh, that's me. So far, this movie has been nothing short of a weird hazy dream. Like, who really cares for these characters? I did not, at least up until this point. It is as though that the movie lacks something very crucial. Like, it is my belief that there's no careful work that has gone into writing of this movie. The dialogue seems very preachy, and although the philosophical themes are portrayed well enough, the dialogue does them a great disservice.
Nothing hurts more than to see the one that you love subjected to mistakes and wrongs. You experience something that you can explain rationally. You placed Eden very high on the pyramid chart.
I don't know if I've ever heard anyone in real life talk like this. It all sounds too sophisticated. Anyways, let's talk about chapter 2. Not a lot of interesting events take place during this chapter. That is until the very end, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. We begin with the husband who, after pursuing his wife, comes to a wooden cabin. This is where he finds his wife, who is already asleep. Well, it seems she really didn't give a damn about him. Poor old Willem Dafoe just slides in next to her and goes to sleep. At midnight, there's this rattling noise that wakes him up. Just acorns falling onto the roof. But for a second there, I thought this movie was gonna turn into a horror flick. Thank goodness it's just acorns. The next morning, Willem Dafoe, the husband, helps his wife with an exercise so that she can walk again, I guess. It seems as though she's struck with so much grief that she can't even walk properly anymore. And as she succeeds in this exercise, we are shown this horrific scene where a baby bird falls from a tree. And then, do you know what happens? An eagle instantly snatches it, and then it gets devoured by him. Wow, this scene definitely symbolizes something, which I'm not gonna get into, because I don't want to spoil it for you guys. We then get into a really interesting scene. It's a scene where the mother recalls her past visit to this wooden cabin. She shares that she heard the voice of a baby crying. Now at first, you assume that it must be her baby that is crying. But when she checks on him, he is perfectly fine. I'm not gonna lie, this scene kind of scared me, because I still don't know who the hell was crying. Her husband rubs it off just as a hallucination, which causes her to tweak out. At this point, he should have said goodbye to this lady, because she clearly isn't safe. But hey, this dingus insists on staying with her to get to the bottom of all of this. Well, what can I say? It's his funeral. I should mention that he has kept this book with him all this time, where I suppose he is writing notes for the cause of her behavior. His first guess is that it is nature that has caused her to act like this. His second guess, however, is Satan, which she clearly is possessed by. It becomes obvious that she is possessed by Satan when she recovers miraculously. Seeing all of this, her husband should just get away from her. But nah, he stays. I just know he'll get his ass beat. And he does, in the worst way you can imagine, when he is again wandering in the forest. As his wife has left him alone again, because he isn't to some degree buying her shit anymore, he comes across a dead animal. And here I got jump scared. This stupid fox is eating its own meat. Like, what even led to this predicament? It is such a crazy scene. And if that wasn't baffling enough, the fox speaks and says, which harkens back to the title of this chapter. Well played, Lars von Trier. But I don't get any of it. Here we go, finally, chapter. Titled Despair and Genocide, which I guess is misspelled deliberately. Because remember, this is the work of a very smart person. In this chapter, we get all the revelations. The husband discovers that his wife was studying some unhinged stuff. She was doing her research on witches that are sexually violent, and most probably, she has become one of them. We have seen evidence of that throughout this whole movie. If this wasn't the time to run for his life, for the husband, then there was no other. But as has been the case time and time again, he goes back to have a discussion with his wife and to do another exercise of his. This conversation reveals the depth of idioticness of this woman. She has started to believe that women by their nature are evil. He was supposed to write a thesis against the barbarity and cruelty faced by women in the time period she was researching, and her conclusion was this. Her husband finds another interesting fact about her. She was putting shoes on her child in the wrong order. He claims that this was not on purpose. But who's gonna believe this maniac at this point? Finally, the husband's mind clicks, and he finds out that she was responsible for their child's death. But as soon as this epiphany comes, he gets caught and she starts to beat him up. She then forces him into another intercourse. But here is where things get way out of hand. She lifts a wooden block and literally slams it on his nuts. Like, what the actual bro? It doesn't stop there. He makes him come blood. Why the hell would anyone write this? Lars von Trier is one crazy fellow, and you better believe it. What follows suit is even more unhinged. He fixes a whetstone wheel on his leg so he can't escape, but he somehow drags himself into a hole where he finds a raven. This raven is a piece of shit. It gives out his location by making a lot of noise. The wife finds him and uses a shovel to dig him up. Somehow he survives her brutal strikes. She takes him back to the cabin, and here is where things get even worse. She takes a pair of scissors and snips a piece of her private parts. I just can't believe I saw this movie, man. I don't even know why I'm talking about it. Awful, just awful. After gaining consciousness, she again tries to kill the husband, who succeeds in taking off the wheel before she gets the better of him. It ends with him choking her to death. In all honesty, this was not a good movie. I have no idea why any person in their right mind would like this movie. It is unnecessarily grotesque. There's not a compelling narrative. What else is there to say? Oh, I just hate this movie. The only thing that I liked about this movie was the cinematography. It was very well shot, but that's it. There's nothing else. But that's all I've got to say about this piece of shit. If you have watched the video till here, please like this video and subscribe to my channel if you like content like this. Thanks for watching. I will see you pretty soon with a new and better video. Bye.